Hey everyone, it's Karen again, and I'm back with part two with the author that I just had previously. So we are going to finish up all these questions this time.
Hopefully.
Welcome back. Thank you for coming back again. I really appreciate it. So my first question for you is, what inspires you to write?
So that would be all the stories that go around in my head. um, what tends to happen is I get a story idea in my head and it just goes round and round in circles. And then the only way I can get them out is to actually write them down. Uh, but what inspires me to write as well is a lot of the books that I read are more fantasy based as well. And I love getting lost in a world of fantasy. So, being an avid reader as a child, I sort of grew into, well, I want to be able to write a story like this, or I want to be able to create something like this. So that's sort of where I get my inspiration from.
Nice. Yeah, I like that where you brought up the childhood thing. I kind of use a little bit of childhood where books that I've read and stuff. So, next question. When did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
I feel like I've always been a writer as such because I've just wrote things from as a child. So I have a very vivid memory of being in primary school, which I think for you guys would be elementary school. So
Yes.
I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I have a very vivid memory of on a Wednesday would be short story day, and we'd line up
Mhm.
outside the classroom and be given these glitter pencils, and we were told to write a short story within an hour. And I was always asking for extra pieces of paper because I would just end up writing and writing and writing, and I'd end
Yeah.
up with like half a story almost in that hour. Um, and then through my childhood, I continued to write, but I wrote, sorry, not childhood, through my teenage years, I wrote fan fiction on a website called deviantart.com. I don't know if you know it.
No.
No, it was a website for artists. You could put your drawings up, or there was a bit for fan fiction for writing. And I used to go on there and write fan fiction for cartoon shows that I used to watch.
Nice.
So I've just wrote all through my life, and then it wasn't until I started to write my vampire book that I sort of took it seriously. But as I said before, it was just a hobby. I didn't really think much of it. Um, but yeah, I guess from a young age, I've always been a writer.
Nice. I like that. So the next question we have is, what are your favorite books to read?
Uh, Sorry, I have my notes. Uh,
No, you're cool.
yeah, mainly fantasy. Give me any fantasy book, I'll read it. I love the whole aspect of it: vampires, dragons, witches, magic, spellcasters. You name it, I'll read it. I find fantasy is a lot more imaginative because literally anything goes.
Yeah.
You can set your own rules, you can set your own consequences, your own world. It's yours to create. So I
Mhm.
love fantasy for the fact that there's no restrictions. You can do whatever you want, you can create whatever you want. So that is my main genre.
Yeah, I am going to talk about a little bit about that for sure because fantasy for me, I love fantasy. I grew up with vampires too. So, like, my high school year, Twilight came out. So,
Yes.
Twilight was like a big, Twilight was a
I
big
read it. I have
thing.
to admit, I did read it.
Yes. So, but yeah, that kind of started my little vampire journey. And then, I don't know if you all have this over there, but there's a TV show called The Vampire Diaries.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So, Stefan and Damon. Yeah. So, we had that over there. So, I started watching that on my CW channel and on TV. And I was like, I'm really big on finding kind of movies or TV series that I like a lot and then try to see if they have a book. And if they have a book, I always feel like I'm reading like the manuscript, and that's what I love. Like I want to be involved. So if I love that movie so much, I'm like, okay, I got to find some way to be involved. Whether
Yeah.
like I also play video games, so like for Fast and Furious, I have Fast and Furious video games. So
I didn't even know it
I
was. Is it a video game, Fast and Furious? I didn't
Yes.
even know
yeah
that.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so that's probably it's on the Xbox 360.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, if you have that machine, it's on there. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to touch base on that a little bit
Mhm.
because I really fantasy to me is a big thing. And like currently I'm reading The Lord of the Rings because like you said, anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything goes. So I brought that up. I had to. All right, so let's move on to the next question. And we have, how important are book reviews?
I would say they are quite important, but in the same token, I would always say take them with a pinch of salt. Um, and because it's one of those things where as an author, you have to accept that not everyone is going to like your book. Not everyone is going to like the way that you write, your characters, maybe the plot itself. There's going to be things with the readers aren't going to like, and you have to sort of learn to have a little bit of a thick skin to that, and just accept that even if you write a book in a genre that someone likes, it's still no guarantee that that person's going to like your book.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, having reviews is good for feedback. If you get a lot of the same feedback from reviews, then I would say that's worth taking note of. Um, but if it's just the odd one or two reviews, or if it's something that you know that it's important for your, if you have to sort of decipher what is someone's personal taste and what is something that is actually wrong with your book. Um, so I'd say yes, they're important, but just take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. I agree with that. You always have to, if multiple people, like you said, is saying the same thing, something's probably wrong with your book. Let's figure out what it is and then make it better.
Yeah.
So
Which is where
next
sort of beta readers will come in. So they're the ones where you need to be picking up those things so that you can edit them for when you actually release your book. So that's sort of where your beta readers sort of come into it.
yes, that is true. All right, so let's move along to the next question. What is your favorite part of being a writer?
I would say definitely just getting my stories out onto paper, even if I've only wrote like the first chapter. Um, just being able to come up with an idea and get a feel for it as I'm writing it is one of the best feelings for me. And being able to watch something grow and develop into this full pledge of a story and feeling confident enough to be able to put it out, or just confident enough for me to be able to go, yeah, you know what, this is my book and I'm proud of this. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I would, yeah. There's no better feeling than creating something and physically having it in your hands. Growing up, I wasn't really much of a, I wasn't great with education due
Mm-hmm.
to have being premature. Me and my twin brother were very premature. We were born at 25 weeks. So we were
Oh.
statemented as having learning difficulties. So I self stigmatized myself by thinking, oh, I'm stupid. I'm never going to go to university. I'm never going to have a great job. So when I was finding my flow with writing, it just sort of showed me that no, I am actually good at something. And it's something that I can do and create and something I can hold in my own hands. So that's one of my favorite things. It's given me a bit of confidence to be able to be like, no, I am good at something. And yeah.
That's true. Yeah, giving you confidence, being able to write does for sure give everybody confidence. For sure, me too. But I really like how you brought that up about you growing through becoming a writer, an author, and everything. Like your struggles of, oh, I'm not going to be anything, and then you're like, oh, actually good at this. And then here we are today. You're a
Yeah,
writer. Yeah.
exactly. And it's also partly why I like to try and not just promote myself, but I like to promote other people because I want to help other people like myself. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm all about the community.
Yeah, me too. That's why I started this podcast because, again, I want to highlight everybody's whatever they can create. I want to be able to highlight that. So, all right, let's find the next question. What makes a great story?
So
Should we
uh,
for that?
I'm just very quickly reading my little note on the side. Yeah, so there's for me, I feel like there's no one right answer with that question. Obviously, a story is a very personal thing from reader to reader, as we've already touched based on before. Not everyone's going to like the same thing. Um,
Yes.
so for me, that's sort of a general question because what's good for one person is not going to be good for another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel like, it could be something as simple as like a plot development that maybe one person's liked that another hasn't, or maybe it's a world building that one person's enjoyed and another person hasn't. So it's all about personal experience. So I don't
Okay.
think there's one right answer for that one.
Okay. Actually, I think I already might have had you answer that now that you said that. All right. So then we talked about most surprising thing you learned, which is while writing your books. And then did
Marketing.
you?
just
Yes.
the whole marketing side of it. When I first started writing my vampire book, I made all the classic mistakes that you can think of as an indie author. I did no marketing. I had no social presence on social media. I did everything wrong and I did everything backwards. So I only started marketing my book once I had it in my hand because I looked at it and went, oh crap, no one knows about my book. No one knows this even exists. So I had to go into the marketing, and the whole battlefield of marketing has just blown my mind, and how hard it is to navigate and how consistent you have to be with it. Um,
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing for me, which I'm trying to navigate.
Yes. Yeah, I like how you brought up marketing because in one of my classes, I was taking marketing and because I'm doing business administration, and
Oh,
then that's majoring in that and then minoring in English with the emphasis on creative writing. So I like the fact that you brought that up because I'm trying to have a business for my art and obviously have the English background for my future books and stuff because I know a lot of people tend to want more documentation of, oh, you went to college or whatever. So I
I
like to
have I
have
have
all that.
mixed feelings on that one, but
Yeah, me too. I think if it's good, just take it. Like, why you gotta have so much? But again, let's not talk about that. But like I said, I have learned a lot within my business classes about how everything I knew, which was true, but there's a lot more that I did not know when opening a business. Because again, I was thinking about opening a so it's I don't even really know what to call it, but a building, an art gallery, I guess.
okay.
But I want to be able to have so I like designing clothes and stuff. So I wanted one room of all of my design clothes that I do, and then another with like all like maybe paintings, and then another room with all just drawings, and then one room that I keep for like my Etsy account people whenever I get like that's what I'm trying to do. So I don't even know if it's really an
How
art.
do you have the time to make your own clothes, to paint, to write, do an Etsy shop? How are you doing? You work full time as well. How are you doing all this?
So I kind of just I don't I don't know. I like to keep busy because it makes me feel like I have a purpose if I keep busy and stuff a lot. And since I'm an only child and stuff, I grew up. My dad abused me and stuff, so I was always having to feel like I'm good and stuff. But I've always loved creating. When I was little, I had little like jewelry kits and stuff. So I put beads on it. I make my own necklaces. I'm like, oh,
Cute.
this is great. I'm gonna be a fashion designer and everything. So
Very
but
cute.
so I don't actually create the clothes. I just design. So since I draw, I'm an artist. I would just come up with the designs and then put it on like merch. So like
Right.
hoodies, shirts like that. Because I actually have a collection that I want to get out, but I'm finding out that it's a lot more expensive than I thought. But I have a whole Halloween Skater Boy edition of drawings.
Mm,
So I did my three favorite Halloween characters, which is Scream, Leatherface, and Jason. I was trying to think.
nice.
So those are my favorite three Halloween characters. So and then I just put them on skateboards because I'm like I love skating. I can't skate because I trip over thin air
Oh,
literally. There we go. Okay.
yep.
So, but I love skating. I love the activity and stuff. So I'm like, meh. I just got bored one day at work and I literally put two and two together. I'm like, okay,
Why
something
why
that
not? Why not? If it works, it works.
right. So I was like, everybody likes shirtless guys. So the guy's shirtless, just got a mask on, and he's holding his board, and then like on the
Oh,
bottom of the board.
the smut community at the moment for masks and shirtless. So
Right.
you've got a market there, girl.
Right. So I was like, this is perfect, but I kind of need the money. So I was like, all my stuff is just in the background because like I said, I've had stuff I've created my whole life and it's just all kind of pending. So I have plenty of like dresses I used to draw when I was little and everything, but it's just a lot of stuff I do because I like doing it. I want to make something of myself one day, but all right, let's get back to the other questions I have for you.
Okay.
We have two other questions, so we can kind of talk a little bit on both of them. The other one is, how do you handle writer's block?
Personally, I do two things. I either just go for a walk, depending on the weather, because obviously UK, weather's
Yeah.
not always guaranteed. So if I can, I'll go for a walk, to try and just, get some exercise, get the blood pumping, change of
Mhm.
scenery, and try and think about my book while I'm writing or whatever it is that I'm stuck on. Or I'll listen to music. I find music really, really helps me. It's almost a bit like, again, it's almost a bit like watching a film. I'll put some music on and I'll try and think about my scene and I'll
Mhm.
try and pick a song which fits whatever scene that I'm trying to work on. So
Mhm.
sometimes if I try and imagine it like a film, like a movie, it actually propels me to get through the writer's block because it gives me an idea of, oh, maybe that could happen or maybe that could happen depending on the music. um so yeah, I find music really, really helps, but then just doing a walk, getting some exercise tends to just help a bit as well.
Yeah, I use that actually the same methods as well when I'm at work or whatever, and I'm trying to focus on thinking of a new book or something. We have a little area. So where I work at, we have the governor's garden because it's next to the governor's mansion up the road from us. And then so I go into his little garden and just look around and look at all the flowers and stuff and the birds. And I actually, for my last class, I made a story up of I was a fairy tale character
Okay.
and I would walk down into the garden for my breaks, and then I met a mom bird. Well, I didn't know that the mom bird was pregnant, and she didn't either until one day there's a bird, and then mom dies, so I take over. Then all the little creatures love me, and I take care of the baby bird every day. I bring her fruit and stuff, and then she gets a little, because she brings me flowers sometimes and we'll try to like put them behind my ear, just like literally a whole fantasy. That's what I love for my books. And another section I like going into is we have down by the train tracks, because we have a train right down by our my work too that people get on and off a lot on. But they have a little walk area, and then I normally would go into the woods because I don't. The walk area is too open for me. I like the enclosed woods. I mean, yeah, the garden's open, but there's flowers and like it's pretty and stuff. Like open, it's just a bunch of people walking. And I'm like, there's nothing here. It's dead. So I go into
Yeah.
the woods and kind of look at the river and just think of scenes from there. I'll see a bird flying. I'm like, okay, you're a character, don't even know who you are. Like, you poor thing, you're a whole character in my story and you just flew by.
You're a character and you don't know it.
Right. So, but yeah, change of scenery really helps me too. Kind of opens my mind a lot. And music, I mean, I never really thought of using music. I mean, I've used some lyrics, but not. I use the lyrics as like a quote for what a boy or a girl says to each other.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, with the music, it's not so much the lyrics. In all honesty, it's the music itself. So it's the tempo, it's the beat, it's whatever the music
okay.
is giving me like a feeling. So like, if I'm trying to write like an action filled scene, then I'll listen to what I would class as like an action song, something upbeat and
Oh.
catchy, and it sort of goes with whatever I'm trying to write. So then as the song progresses, it might just give me some hits of inspiration because I'm following it in my head like a movie trailer, I
Hmm.
guess. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I like
it's not
that idea.
necessarily the lyrics, it's more the music itself. But sometimes the lyrics help, and it'll, as you
Yeah.
say, it might give me like there might be a line of lyric, and it's like, oh, that might actually be good if I maybe turn it into a dialogue or something, or yeah.
Yeah.
But it's more so the beat of the music or how the music makes me feel, sort of thing.
I like that because I didn't even think of that, and obviously the lyrics for me, because I mean I listen to both the tempo, the tunes, all the music sounds. I listen to all of that, but sometimes like when I'm going through something, I really pay attention more to the words. So I guess
Yeah.
I really go through more when I'm writing because I'm listening to the words because I'm trying to find like love songs or something that would inspire the rest of that scene.
Yeah.
Because that's what I write a lot about is kind of like some because I know people like a lot of love romance and stuff like that. So my thing is I write something that I know people will like, but how I do it is I put kind of one of something that has happened in my life so that I actually know what has happened or what I would want to happen. So like one of my other reports I did for my last class was I've always wanted the biker talk where they have the how you said the masked man or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have always grew up around motorcycles and not really crotch rockets. So that's why I'm more fascinated with crotch rockets and stuff like that. So I made a whole scene. I come out of work. There's this guy on the crotch rocket at the stop sign. I like the crotch rocket. It's my favorite ninja, whatever. And um, he pops a willy and I record him. Then he goes around the block, comes back. We fall in love. So, like, something
Yeah.
quirky like that because it's something I would want to happen. So, I know exactly everything of what I would want in it. But also, I know a lot of people like the bike talk and stuff like that. So, that would help with that area. And people like
Yeah,
romance and
yeah, and
stuff.
it's always
So,
good to use your own life experiences or whatever to help with that. I mean,
mhm.
when I mentioned earlier that me and my husband are we were long distance and things like that.
Yep.
So when I
Mhm.
when I tell people the story, because obviously it's very unusual for a Brit to be married to an American. So when I've told people, well, this is
Yeah.
actually how we met, and this is what happened, and this is what we did, and da 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 da, the overwhelming response I get is, "Oh my god, your story sounds like a love story. You should write it." as a love story, and I have actually thought about it more and more, and I'm like, actually, you know what? I think I will. I think I might just do a love story based on very much our story.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I'm not a full romance genre writer, but I would definitely give it a try for our story just because of the responses that I get from people. The first words out of their mouth are, "This sounds like a love story. This sounds like a book. This sounds like a film. Like you need to do
Yeah.
something with it." So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go eventually. But I've got all
Yeah.
my other stories that I want to write first. But I might do
Right.
ours at some point.
Well, that's really exciting. Yeah, I like that everybody's responding the same way too. Because, yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of people don't really go outside of their country a lot. And when they do, or even their race, and if they do, a lot of people always bash that and stuff. And I'm totally for if you love a person and that person fully loves you, then it shouldn't matter if, like you said, you're British and he's American. Like for me, I would be American, and then my man, if because I don't have anybody, but I'm just saying, like example, me American, me with somebody on the other side. So it would be really weird because again, Americans have a look about us. We have to obtain to not be with other people. Like we're supposed to me, it seems like we're always supposed to be against everybody else or certain people or whatever. And I'm just
Yeah.
not okay with that. Like
No, no, of
if,
course not. Yeah.
yeah. So, all right, let's get with the last question. If you didn't write, what would you do for a living?
Does anyone not have a full-time job in this economy? Like seriously, who
Right.
who are the lucky ones who get to sit at home and write all day? Because I'm not one of them.
Mm-mm.
Uh, yeah, obviously I have a full-time job. I'm not one of the lucky
Yes.
ones who can sit at home and write all day. So I've worked in healthcare since I was 18. So I've
Oh.
moved around from jobs to job. I've basically worked in care homes, I've worked in the hospital, I worked for the ambulance service during COVID, so I took the emergency calls and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And now I work in radiology, which is X-rays and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I've moved around from place to place, but it's given me a lot of experience and it's given me a lot of knowledge in moving around. Um, I don't necessarily have a career as such. I've always just been like an assistant. So I haven't gone to uni or anything like that. I've always just been an assistant and I've just moved around. But I'm sort of now at a place in my life where, in all honesty, as long as I can pay my bills, I don't want a career because I don't want the responsibilities. I don't want the added stress. I just want to go to work, come home, and write. That's
Yes.
all I want to do. So yeah, so as long as I can get my books out and I can pay my bills, I'm happy. So, but yes, that would be the dream one day if I somehow managed to be able to quit my job so that I could stay home and write. I would I would love it, but I'm not quite there yet.
Well, hopefully soon for both of us. Okay. Thank you again for coming on to my podcast for not one but two parts. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your own life to interact with me and all of us as well. So thank you for coming on again, and
Thank you for having
for,
me.
yes, ma'am. You have a good rest of your day.
You
See
too.
ya.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.